Hello, everybody. Hey, it is John Lone King. It is Monday, the 29th of December. And as promised, I'm going to be coming to you every single Monday afternoon, talking about the Dream for All program, what we know, what we don't know, and where we're going from here. So give you new information if I have it. And if not, then I'll update you on things you need to know to get prepared for Dream for All 2026. So first and foremost, we have no new information. I will tell you that Calhaffa had a board meeting earlier this month, and they were talking about decreasing the amount of money for each person on Dream for All. What they were talking about, I don't believe is going to happen in 2026, but I think it's likely to happen after that. And I believe what they're talking about, not believe, what they were talking about is spreading the money out to more people. Basically saying, hey, if we only have a set amount of money and we want that money to impact more homeowners, then how about if we give each person less money? And I'm thinking that the dollar amount they're likely to give is more like 10% of the purchase price. I think that's the direction that they're likely to be headed. And so be prepared. I doubt it's going to impact 2026. It could, but I think it's very likely this is your last chance to get 20% towards your purchase price, because I think they're going to look at decreasing the dollar amount, and they could decrease it in the 2026 numbers because they have not officially announced the rules for the 2026 money. So that is what I know right now. Stay tuned. Every single week, I'll give you updates as I know it. Today, I want to talk about the 5 ways to ruin your Dream for All chances. This is something that I've now helped pushing 55, almost 60 people to achieve their Dream for All dreams and be able to get into a home. But I also had a lot of other people who didn't succeed. And I had a lot of people who ran into challenges, and I want to cover with you quickly today those challenges and the things that you need to be aware of as you're thinking about getting ready to get into the lottery. I don't want you to run into one of these mistakes and be a victim like some of my clients have been. So mistake number 1, trusting your Credit Karma score. I say Credit Karma, but it could be the credit score that you get from your Discover Card app or your banking app or wherever. The problem is credit scores are not credit scores. Credit scores are different based upon the scoring model that is used to determine the score. In other words, your auto FICO score is different than your credit card FICO score that is different from your mortgage FICO score. And the only way that I know for you to get your mortgage FICO score is one of 2 ways. Either you're getting it through a mortgage banker like me, or you're going to myfico.com and you're subscribing to myfico.com. And in myfico.com, you get the ability to pick which score you want to view, and you can view your mortgage credit score. Your mortgage score is different. And I've had many people say, John, my score is over 700. I don't want you to pull my credit score because I think that my credit is fine and I don't want to ding on my credit report. And then I explained to them, look, there's a cost to pull your credit report, but there's no harm because it's a soft credit pull. And when we pull the credit, it won't impact your score. But they say, nope, I don't want to pay the cost. I don't want to have it. I'm not worried about it. My credit's great. And then we pull their credit and we find out their credit isn't 701. It's 679. That 22-point difference is a night and day difference. First of all, under 700 changes your maximum debt to income ratio of how much you can actually be allowed to spend per month of your income towards your new house payment. So it can decrease what you qualify for simply by being under 700. And if you're under 680, you can't get Dream for All money. Some cases we can go down to 660, but for most people, you have to be at least a 680 credit score. So why does this matter? Because we need to pull your credit score now so that we know where your score is, so that we know you're in good shape. Because I've had people who have had crazy things on their credit report, and that's my problem or mistake number 2. Not realizing or ignoring old collections and judgments and things that are on your credit report. A judgment is a hard stop from being able to buy a home. You cannot buy a home if you have an open judgment in your name. And so you might say, oh yeah, but that's old, or that's small, or that doesn't matter, or that was my ex-wife's, or whatever. But it's in your name. We have to solve it. And if we don't get it solved in time, you don't get to get into the lottery. So there's a major concern to get this addressed and address it now. I've had clients who have had collection accounts that they were not aware of. I've had people who've had late payments. I had a recent client who had a credit card that he hadn't used. He's in the middle of a divorce. His wife took care of paying the bills. He's now taking over paying the bills, but he has a credit card that he hasn't used in years, and he knew there was zero balance. He gets electronic statements. Sounds like a lot of you, right? The problem is that he wasn't opening electronic statements every single month when they were sent because he knew there was no balance, except they added an annual fee. And he didn't realize there was an annual fee that was added. And so when I pulled this person's credit, it ended up that the credit had dropped significantly because he was 4 months behind on that credit card that he didn't charge a penny to, because it was an annual fee that was added. And so now this client's going back and trying to fix that. And so ignoring things, thinking that, oh, my credit is fine, my score is fine, I don't have to worry about these old collection accounts, it can come back to bite you. I had a client who turned in a lease on a car a year earlier, and they said it was fine, you don't owe any money, you're good, the car's in great shape. And they called him back a week later and said, nope, we found a problem, you owe us $500. And he fought it out of principle, like, no, you told me it was fine, so I don't need to pay this. The problem is they sent him to collection, and that destroyed his credit score. And now he's trying to fix it, and it's a nightmare to get it fixed, and they won't talk to him. And so principle is great, but when you're trying to qualify for a mortgage, you want to make sure there aren't any skeletons like that you said, well, that was Comcast's fault, I returned the box, or they told me I could keep the box. I don't care. The fact is you owe them $200, and if you pay them the $200, you might be able to solve the problem. You might not be able to solve the problem. So don't go fixing your collections on your own. Talk to me about it. Sometimes there's a way to fix it. Sometimes you trying to fix it makes it worse. Okay, makes it worse. So don't make that mistake of trying to fix something on your credit report without talking to me. All right. Mistake number 3 is guessing your income eligibility. So many people, oh, John, I'm fine. Tell me about Dream for All. Tell me how it works. Great. Nope, I don't want you to look at my income. I don't want to send that information over. It's private. I'll get it to you when I have to get it to you. And then they end up finding out that they make too much money. Or worse yet, they end up finding, really, what's worse? They're both bad. Sometimes they find out they make too much money. Sometimes they find out that their income is lower than what they thought, because maybe they get, they change jobs and they have bonuses and commission from a prior job that they don't get on the current job, or the opposite. And they now are getting bonus and commission that they used to not get. And I can't count that yet. There's so many nuances to this. There's so many pieces to qualifying for a mortgage. And in general, it can take people a year or longer from when they first start talking to a lender before they get qualified, if they have issues they didn't recognize they had. I have a client right now who literally uses 0 credit. He's like, I pay everything on time, but he doesn't owe anything to anybody, and he hasn't owed it to them for a long time, and his credit score has fallen off, atrophy. The credit score went away. Again, in normal circumstances, fine, we'll fix it, we have time, but not with Dream for All, because we have a deadline. And so the earlier we start looking, the more time we have to fix something, even if you think you're perfect. We all think we're perfect. Some of us don't. Some of us know we're not perfect, and we recognize our flaws, and those are the people I'm talking to right now. But those of you who think, oh, I'm great, I'm in good shape, I've got nothing to worry about, you're the ones I'm worried about. Because most of you, everything is fine. But the majority of you are closing your eyes and saying, I'm fine, I'll deal with it later. And when you go to deal with it later, you don't have enough time to deal with it anymore. And now you're in trouble. And now you're not going to be able to get yourself into the lottery. All right. So one of the most important things I'll tell you is your qualifying income is not what your taxes say, nor is it what your W-2 says. You're like, what do you mean, John? That's my income. No. As a lender, we are required by Fannie Mae to look backwards 2 years and forward 3 years, and using that information to make a decision on what is a reasonable amount of income to expect likely to continue. Now, that's a hard thing to simplify. That's a hard thing. Just because you made a certain amount of money last year does not mean that's what you're going to make going forward. Maybe you had 3 jobs last year and now you only have 2. Well, then I can't count the income from that 3rd job. Maybe you were earning unemployment last year for part of the time that you were out, and you're like, well, I can count that though, because that's part of my total earnings. Or maybe you assume you don't qualify because you make too much money, when the truth is I can ignore certain components of your income. So there's so many factors to this that I do not want you making this mistake that so many people make, which is guessing on your income eligibility. It is rare that somebody gets it right. Now, if you're salaried and you are paid a fat salary would be great too. But if you're paid a flat salary and that's a predictable amount of money that you're getting every single month, then that's the number. That's the number that we use. But if you're hourly, do your hours vary? Or is there overtime? Is there commission? Are there bonuses? Do you get restricted stock options? Do you have a part-time job? All of those pieces are what we call variable pay. And with variable pay, we apply different filters, different ways of looking at it depending upon your history and projection of looking forward. So lots of components that make this mistake number 3, which is guessing on your income eligibility. Mistake number 4, this is for my self-employed clients. Mistake number 4 is don't file your 2025 taxes too early. Wait, John, what? Don't file them too early? I thought the mistake would be don't file them too late. No, don't file too early. Even if you talk to me or another lender and we say, oh yeah, your taxes look fine, that profit looks fine, don't file. You have until October 15th to file, okay? We want to wait until the last possible moment because we don't know what the interest rate is going to be at the time that you get your voucher. We don't know what prices of homes are going to be at the time that you get your voucher. So just because your income was good enough today to buy you this priced home at this interest rates does not mean the interest rate is good enough 6 months from now to do that. And so you can postpone filing your taxes. Now, if you are a W-2 employee, we don't even care about your tax returns. I don't even need to see them, which is another mistake people make is they think, oh, as a W-2 employee, I have to file my taxes early. I have to file them clean. I'm never going to look at your taxes. If you don't own a business, and by the way, if you own a business and we don't want to count it, I can ignore it by not turning in your taxes. There's lots of loopholes here. There's lots of problems when people guess on how we calculate your income. And so you need to talk to me early. Scan this QR code up here, visit this website, check out my calculator, schedule an appointment with me, talk to me about your qualification. Because mistake number 4, filing your taxes too early as a self-employed person or making assumptions about how and when to file your taxes in general is a major problem. And finally, mistake number 5 out of my 5 mistakes, and a lot of you are joining now a little bit late, and that's okay, but go back and watch the recorded version. We'll go through 5 mistakes. By the way, I will be sticking around for a few minutes to answer questions, so if you have questions, feel free to post them right now. If you missed the live and you want to post questions, put them into chat, and I'll get back to you later. Mistake number 5, hiring a generalist team. Now, what do I mean by a generalist team? What I'm talking about here is who are you hiring as your lender? Who are you hiring as your realtor to get you through this transaction? I have a client right now who has a voucher from the 2024 money, got their voucher in April. Remember, you have 90 days, 3 months to use that money. That means he had until November. Then he got a 3-month extension, which means he has until February 18th to use his voucher. And he signed a 4-month agreement with a realtor that, in the client's words, wasn't aggressive enough. And 4 months later, because they signed a buyer-broker agreement, you are obligated to use that person. Now, you can ask to get out of it, and there are ways you can get out of it. They didn't know that they could get out of it. They really didn't want to try to get out of it. I don't know what the reason was why they stayed in it, but afterwards they said, John, can I start over with a new realtor now that I'm out of that contract? And I said, of course you can. Why? Because that realtor really wasn't aggressive enough, and I'm worried because I have less than 2 months remaining to use the money. And I'm worried that this realtor is not going to be the right fit for me. And so they found a new real estate agent. I offered to connect them with somebody that I know, and I know people up and down the state. I don't care whether you work with somebody I know or not. I will tell you the people I work with understand the urgency of this program. But you have to have a team. That's your lender and your real estate agent that works together well and understands the urgency of this program and understands how to present it to the agent on the other side. Because even though right now we're in a market that is, depending upon what city you're in, it's about a stable market, meaning it's not really leaning towards buyers or sellers. Some cities, it's actually a buyer's market, and some cities, it's still a seller's market. But the fact of the matter is, no matter what market you're in, you still have a seller who wants confidence the deal is going to close. I'll give you a good example. In San Diego, there is a very similar program, and there's a similar program in Los Angeles as well, that allows you to get a large amount of assistance from the county for your down payment. But the programs are a nightmare. The programs take 60 to 90 days to complete. They ask for extra inspections on the property. There's major problems with them. And I've had many people confuse Dream for All with those programs. I've had many sellers and sellers agents, the listing agent, think that the offer that's being written is being written from one of those programs, and they wanted to find a different reason to move on, to not accept that offer because they've been through this before. And so you've got to have a realtor that understands that, and a lender that understands that can explain that to the listing agent and to tell the seller, hey, this is not that program. This money is guaranteed as long as we get into contract by this date. And the rules are just a normal conventional loan. But if you don't have someone that thoroughly understands that on your side, if you have the wrong people working for you, you might be like my client right now who literally has 7 weeks left, 6 weeks left to use the money and still is not in contract. So that is a travesty if you end up in that situation. I've had many people who have been in that situation. So what is the next step? First and foremost, schedule your strategy audit so that we can take a look and see what your options are. So you can scan the QR code up above. There's a link down below in the description, but make sure that you are not making the mistake of assuming that none of these things apply to you, because they apply to more people. When these come up, most of the time my clients are surprised, and I don't want you to be caught flat-footed. So scan the QR code that's above, check the calculator. You can run your own numbers using my calculator up above, but don't trust what you input in there. Even though you think that's your income amount, that was mistake number 3, I think number 3, which is don't assume that you know what your income is. So yes, you can plug your income into my calculator. You can scan the QR code right there. You can use it for free. You can run your numbers, but don't assume your numbers are correct. Schedule a consult. That link to schedule a consult is down below. You can also click the QR code above and you can schedule a consult from there. But don't make the mistake of assuming you know your numbers. Don't make the mistake of assuming that you are in great shape. I hope you are. Most of the people that I talk to are, but it's devastating for those that aren't. And it's most devastating for those that wait until the last minute, because then we don't have time to fix it. All right, gang, that is all that I've got for you. I hope everybody had a great Christmas holiday. I hope that you have a great New Year's Eve coming up this week, and I look forward to talking to you guys next week. If you have any questions, please reach out. Hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.